I think people's idea of HIV is really stuck in the past, and there's a kind of a stigmatizing idea of an HIV test, and that's because people don't realise how much progress we've made in terms of HIV treatment. And so kind of two really important things for people to know now are, if you are diagnosed with HIV, you're going to live an absolutely normal life. You're going to live as long as anyone else. The medication is usually it's just one tablet a day. You won't have side effects. And as soon as your virus reaches undetectable levels, then you can't pass HIV on to anyone else. And so there's absolutely no reason why people shouldn't have an HIV test to make sure that they can get that treatment, be well, and also prevent themselves from passing HIV on. So making sure people know whether or not they have HIV is the most important thing that we can do to reduce HIV. And at the moment, if you want to get an HIV test, in most cases, you have to actually actively decide yourself to go and do it. But we have had examples of projects around the country in isolated places that are more like screening programs. So maybe you go to the emergency department and you have a blood test, and at the same time, rather than you having to request an HIV test, they just say to you, well, we're going to test for all these different things, and one of those things will be HIV. And if you don't want it, you can say you don't want it. But it's very normalised, and they don't profile people and think you're more at risk. They test everyone. And that has proved incredibly successful in finding people maybe that wouldn't have any idea that they had HIV or wouldn't even think to have an HIV test. So our key recommendation is to normalise that opt-out testing every time blood is taken anywhere across the health service as standard. It would be tested for HIV, and that's the thing that we are confident will help us identify those people who don't know they have HIV, prevent them from passing it on, and really importantly mean they can get the life-saving healthcare that they need.
It's that old Donald Rumsfeld thing, the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. And I guess that this HIV testing for all, the screening that you would offer there, it deals with the unknown unknowns, because the people who are potentially passing HIV on and they're unaware of it, they would get the heads up. And of course, they could then take appropriate action. That's the action set out.
That's exactly right. And, you know, we know that the latest data from Public Health England showed that of the people who are gay and bisexual men who were testing positive for HIV when they had an HIV test in a sexual health clinic over the last year, something like 85% of them hadn't had an HIV test in the previous 2 years. So these aren't people that see themselves as being at risk and are thinking, oh, I must go and have an HIV test. And so it's about finding a way to reach those people. Maybe they don't realise they're at risk. Exactly as you say, the unknown unknowns. And this is a way of doing that can make a huge difference.